It's your floor, Katie. Thank
Okay.
you for being here.
Oh, it's my honor. I'm so happy to be here. And so it's an interesting I want to start off today talking about the eclipse that we're it just so happens to be that we are currently in a really powerful transformational moment energetically. We've been in this eclipse season for the last, I'll pin myself just so we'll do this. There we go. I've been following this, and you might have been feeling this as well. But so basically, what happens during an eclipse, I just kind of want to talk about this a little bit because it might explain some of the things that you've been feeling, things like that. And then I will introduce myself as well. But I've already started talking about the eclipse, so I'm going to stay with that, and then we'll move forward. But this eclipse season in particular is a lot about uh, breaking cycles, ending patterns, really doing what it is you need to do to put an end to and I put it in quotes, suffering, right? So stopping the struggle, breaking the cycles, the things that you've been really doing battle with, what feels like your entire life. And so I'm sharing this with you because it's very personal to me because I have a personal story about what this summit is about, a really very personal connection with it. And it also just so happens to be the anniversary. This is my anniversary of two life-changing moments in life where things changed for me astronomically, in order to help me break my cycles, my patterns. And so I wanted to put your attention on the eclipse just because we are meeting today. It is the equinox. We are at the tail end of this new moon eclipse. And what it's doing for each one of us is it's sort of bringing things to the surface. And so I don't know about you, but for the last couple of weeks, I have been very emotional. Things have been very intense. Lots of deep feelings, right? Like lots of things coming up to the surface. And I do a lot of work with breaking cycles, patterns, helping people end the cycles that they've been stuck inside of, and also getting to the root of what's been going on, right? What's been holding you back. That's everything that I'm about. That's what my gift, the power shift, is about. And that's what my personal journey has been about. So I wanted to make sure that you're aware of this energetic transit and encourage you and invite you to take a deeper look at your life, right? Take a deeper look at what's been going on around you, what you've been feeling, because it gives you insight into the changes you need to make, which is a great way for me to introduce myself. So, with that being said, my name is Katie. I have been doing this transformational work for over 16 years now. And my work has evolved. I started in the realm of Reiki healing, and then I graduated into other forms of energy healing, and then I trained in neurolinguistic programming, and then I learned neuroplasticity. And so I've been learning and evolving as I've been doing my work. And at the end of the day, I am all about supporting people in really truly breaking the cycles of suffering, by understanding what's at the heart and soul of it. So, helping you understand who you are, what makes you who you are, what happened that made you believe you are who you are, and also what's it going to take to get you to the other side of it. Because there's one thing I've learned through my many years of doing this work and working with people behind the scenes and also working on myself, is that there are instantaneous moments of healing, right? There are miraculous experiences. I experienced one right now. Uh, oh my gosh, so many years. I can't believe, I think it's 16 years ago now. So those types of healings happen. But at the same time, what I came to understand is that our body is very powerful, and the memories, the cellular memories, the experiences that you've had, the traumatic experiences, the emotions that you felt in those periods of time, right? That does not necessarily go away instantly. I really wanted it to be that way. I thought, this is so great. It's gone. It'll never come back. And then, a couple years later, I'm like, oh no, my trauma is back. I'm feeling it again. And I'll be honest with you, I'm very honest. I'm very straightforward. I don't bullshit, right? I tell the truth. I tell you like it is. I am experiencing today feelings and memories of what I went through 16 years ago. Still to this day, my body still remembers what happened. And that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean that I haven't healed. There is a book, The Body Keeps the Score, right? So the body remembers, cellular memories are real, which means that when you feel things, you want to pay attention. When things start to come to the surface, that's a clue that you maybe haven't really resolved all of it yet, right? Maybe you haven't necessarily done everything that you need to do in order to fully let it go because the body remembers, the body is very stubborn. The body holds on to the emotions, the feelings, the subconscious is directly related to the body. These are things I've learned by working with people for 16 years behind the scenes, helping people heal from autoimmune disease and trauma and all of these patterns and things we go through, and also with myself. So, what happened 16 years ago? And this is how I ended up doing this work in the first place was rewind the tape a little bit further back when I was a little girl. You know, we're here to talk about childhood trauma, familial patterns, things like that, which is very, very real, epigenetics. So my family history is one that comes loaded with a lot of trauma. Not by choice, right? Like yes and no. It depends on what you believe. Did I choose this family legacy? Is this part of my journey? Yes. Is it my fault that I grew up in an environment surrounded by chaos and trauma? No. Right? I didn't make them alcoholics. So my family on my father's side, and this is heavy stuff, but we're here to talk about the truth, right? This is why we do this because what's the point in sugarcoating reality, right? Talking about it is what it is, right? And it was what it was. So on my father's side, there were three suicides and five alcoholics. So my entire father's side, other than my father, all alcoholics, three suicides before I was maybe 7 years old. And I saw all of this. On my mother's side, my grandma was in a coma. She had a brain tumor. They botched the surgery. So I grew up around this, right? I grew up in an environment that was very confusing. It was really hard for me to understand what was happening. My parents were busy trying to take care of other things. One of my uncles lived in the house, right? You get the idea, right? So I grew up in this environment. Here I am, sweet, loving, little light worker Katie, who wants everybody to be happy. You know, I'm an empath. I'm intuitive. I can like talk to the animals, and I can hear my grandmother's thoughts, and I can see the future. So I know that my uncle is going to eventually kill himself, and I see all this stuff, and I'm stuck. I'm trapped, right? So there's my origin story of why I have felt stuck my whole life because here I was in the middle of chaos. I was not creating the chaos, right? I was not the one that, didn't know how to love. My heart was open. I was born with an open heart, right? I was born as the change maker. But I grew up around all this. So if you just imagine that for yourself in your own way, what that feels like energetically is you are in the center and there's just like chaos all around you. And you think about what does that do to your body? What does that do to your nervous system? What does that do to your, self-esteem and your self-worth? Well, it makes it very hard for you to stay open, right? Makes it very hard for you to feel safe. Makes it very hard for you to know who you can trust. It makes it very hard for you to be the person you are. So what happens? Well, what happened to me? I became very, very terrified of saying the wrong thing. Right. I became paralyzed by fear because I didn't want anything to happen to any of these people because I loved all these people. So you can understand where somebody like me would grow up having a nervous system on high alert, right? And that's the trauma is that I was stuck with this and I didn't know what to do. So that's what led me to healing. But what happened was when I was, as I got older, stuff happened to me, trauma happened because we're human, we're alive. And this is the lesson I learned is, I was just trying to make it all better. I just wanted it to all go away. And then I realized I can't make it all better and I can't make it all go away because I couldn't convince my uncle to stop drinking. I couldn't save them. Even though I wanted to as a child and an adult, it kept going and it kept going. And so when I was 29 years old, exactly 16 years ago, last night it would be, so it was no, tonight, September 21st, I was walking home from work. I had a boyfriend, at the time was treating me badly. I was struggling with self-esteem, self-worth. I had a thought, I wonder if the world would even notice if I died. And then I went across the street and I got hit by a taxi. Okay. Instant manifestation, instant moment of, oh, you don't want to be here anymore. Here you go. Here's your chance, right? Did not die, turned into a superhero, rolled on the hood of the car, popped up completely unharmed, right? That was one of those miracle moments that was like, no, not this, but this, right? This is not where the story ends. I am not that person because my entire family, there was a whole line of suicides. And I know this is tough stuff. And I know it's like we don't say suicide because it's, triggering, but listen, if you're here because this stuff happened to you, there's no way to get over it without talking about it, right? Without owning it. And so in that moment, what I saw was, okay, so I am breaking the cycle, right? I am choosing differently. So after that, I began to change my life. That's when things changed for me, but it wasn't overnight. It's been 16 years of consistent devotion to myself, to my body, to learning how to show up, learning how to set boundaries, learning how to say no. And so I'm sharing this with you because as somebody who has lived I say I've been to hell and back multiple times. I've lived the tale, and yet I'm still here. So I've seen this in action. And I've done the work, and I've run the whole gauntlet of the experience. And the one thing that I was really disappointed by was the fact that I thought that there was that one and done, right? Like, okay, got hit by the taxi, I figured it all out, and I would have these incredible healing moments where I would feel transformed, and I would say, "This is it, I finally got it," right? And then I would be so elated and filled with bliss and gratitude. And then I would go live my life, and then something would happen. And I'd go, I don't understand it. Like I got to the top of the mountain, I hit, and now I'm down at the bottom again. And so I'm sharing this with you because it's a very realistic and honest way for you to approach your healing journey. Not saying that you can't heal quickly. I work with people, I do intensives. In 90 minutes, we get to the root of the issue. We figure out exactly what it is. We figure out who was there, what happened, why it's holding you back, and we let that go. And it creates a ripple effect that does transform you for the rest of your life. But the one caveat is that you have to continue to live it. And this is the biggest mistake I see. And I think I did it for myself sometimes as well, is I would go back and forth, right? I would stand up for myself and then I would run and hide, right? I would say no and then I would say yes. I would wobble. I would sort of waffle and wobble, and I would be empowered and then I would be terrified. And it made it really hard for me to stay connected to my truth. So, if you want to really be on this path to transformation, to break the cycle, what I want you to think about is that you don't have to, this is the good news, you don't have to put, like I did, the astronomical, like incredible powerful, like, intense pressure on yourself to get it right. Because you think about it, what does that feel like in your body? It doesn't feel good. It's not open to receiving. It's not relaxed and flowing. It's fueled by insecurity. I know because I lived it, right? And I work with people all the time. When we get to the roots of things, it's like, okay, so what's driving your bus? Why are you doing this? Are you so terrified to trust yourself that you will continue to live your life this way forever, codependent or outsourcing your power, or we all do different things, right? Our behaviors are different, our mechanisms of survival are different, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all want the same thing. We want to love and be loved in return, right? We want to live healthy, happy lives. We want peace. Everybody wants peace, right? We all want acceptance. We want to be accepted in this world. But the bigger picture is when you take a step back and you look at the family patterns, right? That's what shaped you. That's what created you. That's what molded you. But it isn't who you are, and it doesn't have to dictate your behavior going forward. And that's what really changed things for me as I realized, you know what it is? It is about the behaviors. Because I had a spiritual teacher, I had a mentor, and I met him one day. And the night before I met him, I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard this, it's not the talent that's the problem, it's the behavior. And I met with him and I told him that. I said, yeah, I heard this thing last night, and it's not the talent that's the problem, it's the behavior. And he said, oh, that's very wise. And I said, I know. And it's so funny because at the time I actually thought that he put the thought in my head because back in that day, I sort of handed my power over, right? So I thought, oh, Derek must have told me this last night, right? He must have like, but it's no, I knew because it was me. I know that it's not the talent that's the problem, it's the behavior, right? And the behavior is how are you responding to life, right? How are you showing up when shit hits the fan? When you're triggered, right? When things happen that make you feel a certain way, the way you choose to respond to that, that is how you break the cycle. That is the key to breaking patterns. And my teacher was a cycle breaker. I'm a cycle breaker. I help people break patterns and cycles all day long, every single day. I always tell people I love to break things. I love breaking things. Things that are keeping you stuck in small, that's what we're here to do. We're here to break the cycles. But in order to do that, there's a little formula. And before I end today, I want to share this with you because I think it's really important. And so just imagine that you're driving in a roundabout. I don't know if you've ever been in one of those before. And the roundabouts, they're kind of scary because they're like a circle and there's all these exit points and like people are coming in from different directions. And sometimes there's like different lanes. There's like the inner lane, the middle lane, the outer lane. And you're driving in the roundabout and you're like, there's actually a scene in a movie, National Lampoon's Vacation, where you see this, where he's like driving and he's trying to get his exit and he can't because he's like trapped. And that's what we are, right? When we're trapped in cycles, when we're letting our trauma dictate our future, we're driving in our cars and we're in the roundabout and we're like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. Like there's this car and there's this and I don't know where I am and that's how it feels in your body. That's your nervous system responding to overwhelm, right? Responding to fear, responding to scarcity, responding to lack. We all have these different problems, right? And it's like, I feel this, I feel that. Everybody's different, but that's your body responding to whatever your wounds are, right? Your particular style of pain is, right? So that's you trying to like, survive it. So you're driving in your car and you're like, I'm trying to get over there, but I can't get over there because I'm here. And wait, oh shoot, I missed the exit. And you like drive around again, but you're going so fast. And that's what we're all doing is we're going so fast. We're like, gotta get to freedom, gotta get to freedom, gotta get to healing. Like there's an urgency. And I know because I felt it as soon as I knew that I was going through what I was going through when I became aware of the fact that my self-esteem and my self-worth was damaged because of what had happened to me. And it's not just my childhood, it was the, multiple sexual traumas I experienced in high school and like, my boss date raping me when I was like 23. I mean, listen, shit happened. A lot of shit happened. And because I had never really fully opened my eyes to like even take a look at what had happened to me because I shut down because it was too much, right? I couldn't handle it all. And I'm like, I can't handle it. So blinders on, I'm just going to drive my car. Next thing you know, I'm in a roundabout, right? And I'm like trying to get off. So how do I do it? Well, a taxi comes, it goes, "Brr," right? Well, that stopped me in my tracks, right? That stopped the cycle of being stuck in the roundabout. It stopped me so much so because I literally got hit by a car. It shook me awake and I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute, wait a minute. Like, what's happening here? I am a good person. I'm valuable. Why am I doing this? And then I made a conscious choice to change, right? So that was my gift. But the thing is that we're not all as lucky as I am to get hit by a car and walk away, right? And that's why I want you to understand this is if you start to slow down now, if you start to make a conscious choice to root into your body, to pay attention, to look at what happened and how it's affecting you, it's the worst thing. Nobody wants to do that part, right? But whenever they do it, they're like, oh my God, why haven't I done this? Why didn't I have the courage to do this? Because it's the way out. It's the only way out, if you ask me. It's the only way to actually make sure that you get the right exit, right? But so that's what I did. And so my advice to you is to start to pay more attention to yourself, to your relationships. I had a lot of shitty relationships in my past. And I was like, oh, they're fine. They were not fine. And I was not fine. Right? But I was conditioned to just keep driving. I'm okay. No, no. So I slowed down. I started to really listen to my body, listen to myself, listen to my emotions. The one thing no one ever did that for me when I was a kid, right? So I started to give myself the things that I didn't get as a child. And then I started to slow down enough to see there's my exit. And then I created an exit plan for myself. It's a strategy, right? This is where strategy comes into play because you have to choose consciously what you are going to do in order to override the system because the body keeps the score and neuroplasticity is real, right? So we remember things, it becomes programmed into our being. And that's why it's an automatic thing. It's subconscious, it just happens. So you feel like you're being dragged into the cycles, right? You feel like you're stuck. You feel like you're powerless. You're not. You're just overloaded. You're overwhelmed. You're overstimulated, whatever it is, because of when it's happened to you. So coming into your body, starting to slow down, learning how to regulate your nervous system. This is everything that I teach. This is what I do with people individually. This is what I do in my programs. It's also what's in my free gift. So the power shift activation is like the biggest lesson for learning how to start to actively choose what that step is for you, what your exit ramp is. So that's my free gift. If this sounds like, yeah, I want to do this for myself, grab it, listen to it. It's 3 15-minute audios. You listen, it begins to give you the awareness to wake up and start to make the changes because then you can do what I did, which is start to choose. So 16 years ago, I said, fuck this, and pardon me for swearing, but sometimes I swear, that's how I felt. And sometimes you feel this way too. I know you do when you're frustrated, right? You're like, that's it, right? I said, that's it. I'm out. This is not my life. This is not my story. This is not who I am. And I'm going to create a way out for myself, right? I'm not going to wait for somebody to hand me the keys. I'm not going to wait for somebody to rescue me. I'm going to take responsibility for myself and my life and my nervous system and my brain. And I am going to create my own exit plan. I'm going to start driving my car with a little bit more empowerment in your body. In my philosophy, it is your car, right? So your body is your vehicle, your mind, your intuition. Those are sort of, the steering wheel and all the inner workings. But like the car itself, that's what allows you to get where you want to go in life. So we want to be nice to our bodies. You know what? We want to be aware of what we're feeling. Like we want to be really tapped in. And so as we come to a close, I just want to remind you of that. I want to remind you that the fact that you are here in a body today on September 21st, 2025, right in this eclipse energy, right? As I tell everybody that I work with, you are fully resourced, right? You have the capacity to begin to make the changes that you be the change you want to see in the world, you be the change you want to see in your life, right? You start to embody those changes. You start to consciously choose a different path, right? You consciously choose to respond differently, to show up differently. That is the key to long-lasting healing that rewires the nervous system. It changes the way you process, the way you think about yourself. And I always say I am my best client, my best case study because 16 years ago I got hit by a taxi, right? I could have died. I could have gone that path. I could have been just like my uncles. I could have given up on myself. I could have just abandoned all hope and said, man, it's too hard, whatever. I'll give up, right? Nobody loves me, blah, blah, blah. I could have done it because that's what I learned. That's what I grew up. But I said, no, that's not my story, right? I said, that isn't who I came here to be. And that's not who you came to be here either. If you believe you're worth more or you're ready for more, you are, right? If you feel in your heart of hearts, I'm tired of this, I'm done with this, I'm ready for something different, you are, right? And that is sort of what I want to leave you with today. So I know I kind of filled the whole time. Sometimes I take questions. Like I said, grab the power shift. That's the easiest way to get started with me or get a taste of what this is like in action. Also, if you do have particular questions, if there's something that you are experiencing and you want my help, the best thing to do is just shoot me an email, Katie@katiekozlowski.com. We can have a little chat. I can send you if it's a good fit, a link to my calendar, or you listen to the power shift and then you talk to me after. That's the best way to do it. But thanks everybody for being with me today on this like incredible, it's an incredible anniversary. And there's another thing that happened just a couple years ago, exactly on this day as well. So you've been a part of my catalyst of transformation, sort of my next chapter, and I thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I was just trying to find the button. How do I do this here? Katie, thank you so much. It was really, really, really profound. Thank you. And I love that we have all the recordings afterwards so that people can really dive in again into your story. Because I do believe that the stories that we're hearing today are so similar to each other because we had to come to this kind of path in order to be able to support others, right? So we had to go through that, and it was such a gift still. Thank you for being here, Katie. And I do know we have our new speaker here, Louise. I will put you up front as my beautiful speaker. Where are you? There you are. Hello. I cannot hear you yet. We're going to unmute you too. Hold on. Hold on. Maybe somebody can help me here. Yes, here you are.
Hi,
Good
how
to
are
see
you?
you. Beautiful, beautiful. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, Louise. I know you. People may not know you yet. Would you please just introduce yourself and tell us what you do? You have your over 30 minutes here. You have
Okay.
the floor.
My name is Louise Matson. I'm a conscious channel, which means I don't go into trance. I just channel spirit as if I'm in conversation with people. I'm a conduit for energy healing. I'm also a shamanic practitioner. Um, and I've just stepped into a new endeavor, creating healing jewelry through silversmithing as well. So that's an exciting new project that I'm doing. Um, so yeah, Astrid, I don't know if you wanted to ask a question or if you just, I don't know what you wanted me to share or I mean, this is all about exiting the matrix and exiting the cycles of family abuse and everything like that. And my journey particularly has been one of experiencing disempowerment, whether that be abuse financially, emotionally, physically at times, throughout my journey. And it's for me, the journey has been from disempowerment to empowerment, to standing in sovereignty and to following divine purpose. And that's really what our souls are all here to do. And so I think this is a beautiful platform. This is a beautiful healing retreat for people to connect into that in whatever way, shape, or form is fitting for you right now. My personal journey has been as a small child, being very connected to spirit and receiving messages and guidance and feeling people's pain and laying my hands on people to heal them, and had to shut all of that down because society wasn't ready for that. But I do believe that there has been a massive shift energetically since I entered the planet in the late 60s. The vibration is completely different, so that we can actually have these platforms and have these conversations, and for people to actually step forward and to, allow those nudges from spirit, those messages, that guidance from spirit to direct their life flow, rather than, as I did when I was younger, shutting them down, going, I'm not listening, and just trying to fit in and blend with society. And I think it's really important that we all kind of step into our truth, particularly at this time when we're being given this massive opportunity to do this. and to step out of the cycles that have entrapped us, that have kept us small and dimmed our lights and not allowed us to kind of really live our soul mission, our soul purpose. And it doesn't matter what that is. It doesn't matter whether that is, you know, people being called to do healing work or to be channels, to have platforms of their own, or whether it's just allowing yourself to stand in your truth and really be the true expression of who you came here to be in the life that you're choosing to live. And whether that is, you know, being that expression, that role model for the next generation that are coming through, that energetically are coming in at a much higher vibrational rate than we did or were able to, or you know, this whole vibrational shift that we're all experiencing, and being that encouraging role model for others to kind of step into their own truth, whether we're consciously aware that that's the effect that we're having on people or not. Because it's when we stand in our light, we stand in our truth, and we actually allow ourselves to follow spirit's guidance, whatever that may be. It may be calling you to move to a different place. It may be calling you to end a job that isn't really vibing with you, or step out of relationships, friendships that are no longer serving you, or never really did, but you were so desperately trying to fit in and be loved that you just kind of, you know, allowed yourself to be shrunk, to be small, to enable yourself to kind of fit in somewhere. And these are all the things that I've done. So I'm not, you know, I'm not sharing anything that I haven't actually done myself. This is the time for us to really step into that and be that role model for everybody else, whether that be energetically or whether that be physically, and sharing what it is to stand in our truth and to be guided, and to say it's okay. It's okay to have these really bizarre, random kind of nudges, taking us in a direction that we may not, as our human selves, feel that comfortable in taking, and allowing ourselves to fully kind of step into that, and allow that the egoic aspect of ourselves, that aspect that is very connected to the family patterns, the ways of being, the stepping into the societal roles that we've all played up until this point, and say enough is enough. You know, I'm going to be me. I'm going to stand in my truth, and I'm going to follow spirit down this quite bizarre path that it's leading me, but it's actually leading me into a deeper sense of myself, and a true knowing of what joy is. I can't say how much joy I've experienced, and how much love for myself, and also for this experience of living, that I've experienced since following that path to the fullest. And I'm not saying it isn't scary. It does take courage to do that, especially when you may be one in a whole family unit that is kind of stepping out of that framework. But the healing that goes on, not just for yourself, but for everybody down your ancestral lineage, for everybody within your familial line, and for society as a whole, is incredible. The healing work that comes through me, the work that I do with clients, is a lot to do with releasing these bonds, these contracts, these bindings and wounds that we've all had, that we all carry with us from lifetime to lifetime, because we are eternal beings. And Spirit has shared that, you know, previously we've been kind of trapped in this reincarnation cycle, which is now coming to a close. And we seriously, truthfully get to choose now whether we come back into this physical form. So this is an opportunity for everybody to not only clear your personal baggage, but it's an opportunity for you to heal the wounds that have come through bloodlines, for those that may not be ready or willing at this time to really step up and step into who they truly are. And that's no judgment. None of this is said with any judgment, but it's such a beautiful gift to give the next generation of people, of souls coming into human form, so that they don't have to go through all of the trauma and the pain that we've undertaken, that we've gone through and experienced, and that we've carried forth, not just through our bloodline, but through our reincarnational line and our monadic soul line, and to free everybody stepping forward into this this new lived experience of joy and of plenty, because lack and limiting our existence is a falsehood. It's an illusion. It's created to keep us in this state of being where we're always striving to put food on the table and things like that. But I've honestly found that when I've followed spirit, my needs have always been met. I've never wanted for anything, and everything that I've wanted to do, that my heart has guided me towards, I've been able to achieve. I've been given the tools, the opportunities, whatever it is, to step into that space and to fulfill and be fulfilled by this life. And it's such a joyful state to be in when we're able to connect with our truth. And I know a lot of people out there will say, well, how do I do that? But it's part of it is knowing that you are connected to your truth all the time. And all of these illusions and distractions that go on around us are here to keep that hidden from ourselves, to make us feel that we're disconnected, when that's actually one of the biggest illusions as well. We are connected. We wouldn't exist in this physical world if we weren't connected. Our soul is in this physical body. But it's allowing ourselves to listen and feel and recognize the nudges of spirit, to recognize what is our truth and what isn't. And so the process of coming into this kind of beautiful, unified, collective space of, high vibration starts with really recognizing, acknowledging, and allowing yourself to be the individual spark that you are. And so it's sorting out your boundaries, it's allowing yourself to clear your own field and say, this is where I start and stop, and learning how to discern what is in alignment, what isn't in alignment, and not being afraid to express that. Even if you start off just expressing it to yourself, or playing in the fields. The spirit often shows me like the Russian dolls, where there's a doll inside a doll. So the smallest doll is your intimate relationships, which could be your intimate relationship with yourself. It could be your close family members and loved ones. And a lot where the trauma and the woundings are originally felt. But it's much easier to practice and play, as it were, in the biggest doll, which is much, much further afield than that which feels really close to our identity. So from the egoic perspective, our identity is this body, it's the roles that we play, it's the family unit, it's where we come from, our background, our social structure, and things like that. And it's very attached to that. So if we start playing in that field, it's very close and uncomfortable. But if we start playing and practicing in fields that are far removed from that, where people don't know us, go into those spaces where you're not known, it's really not going to impact on your mental, emotional well-being, to make these changes, to start expressing your truth. Play in those arenas, and then as you gradually get used to that, you can work yourself in through the various smaller sizes of Russian doll, as it were, coming back into those spaces that we are holding the biggest wounds, the biggest trauma. And as we start this process, it's like, as we do one thing, we do all things. Once we make that start, it doesn't matter how small it is. It's like they're showing me a stone gathering moss as it rolls down the hill. It just gathers momentum, and we find ourselves stepping into different arenas, stepping more and more into ourselves, where we know what our truth is more and more. We're able to feel strong enough to follow it, and we start making physical changes in our experience. I haven't seen the chat actually, so if people are asking me questions and things, then I can't really see that, but it's going a bit fast. So the work that I do with people, it's purely spirit driven. I have no idea what's going to come up in a session, because we're all individuals. We all bring different things to the table, and we're all starting from a different point, and it really doesn't matter if you're partway through your journey. I have had many, many occurrences in my journey, and my journey has been the whole of my life where I call them ostrich moments. Is I've put my head in the sand and I've gone, I'm not listening. I can't do this anymore. I just need a bit of a time where I'm just, playing the game of being in society. And that's absolutely fine. We have to acknowledge our journey is at our own pace. The one biggest thing that I've taken from Spirit, and it was a hard learning lesson for me, is staying in your own lane and acknowledging where you are in each moment, and doing that with love. All of this work comes with zero judgment. And so when people come to me, the biggest teachings that Spirit shows them is what staying in your own lane means, which is, knowing what is my stuff, what's my journey, and what is somebody else's, and not allowing ourselves to kind of cross over into that lane and not allowing others to cross over into ours. So, allowing everybody with love to have their own journey, no matter how painful it may seem at the time. And for me, that has been the bereavement of my parents, both of which I offered healing to. My sister with a health crisis, and allowing them to make the decisions that they want to make, because that is their soul's journey. And for whatever reason that they're going through that is perfect for them. But if we're in this moment that we think, actually, no, I want to break free of this, then knowing that there are the connections, Spirit's always going to provide you with the connections, whether it's the other beautiful speakers on this show, whether it's Astrid, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else. Spirit will guide you. A random podcast, something like this, or even just a chat with somebody in the street, for the perfect person who's going to give you that nudge. So look for those signals, look for those signs. And they can be anything. And that's the beautiful thing about Spirit's communication with us. It's different for everybody because we're all different. And that's the beauty of learning our individualized self. So I am a feeler, I'm clairsentient, and I'm claircognizant. So I know and I feel. And that's because part of my journey was I was threatened with being locked up for being mad. Because I was laying my hands on people as a small child, and I was talking about stuff that at the time you just couldn't have those conversations. And so I shut down seeing and hearing. I didn't want anything to do with that because they were classic madness symptoms. And so I know and I feel those are my strongest things. But Spirit will talk to us through a film that you've been guided to watch, and there's just this certain line in the film that really hits you, or something in a song, or you read something in a book, or even you see a billboard, and you've got a particular question in mind, and the answer is literally written on a billboard that you're walking past. It's things like that. And for some people, it will be animals, birds crossing their path. I've been doing this a very long time. So when I'm having a conversation with Spirit, I'm having a conversation, but it didn't start there because I wasn't allowing myself to be the open channel that we all are. And that's the biggest takeaway. You are already an open channel. The job, the work is to clear that channel, clear your field of all the distractions, all of the things that are pulling you into being small, dimming your light, not allowing you to express yourself, not allowing you to follow your true mission and purpose. Clearing all of that out, whether it be ancestral healing, whether it be soul contracts, whether it be just the clutter, the energetic clutter that we have in our field, and coming into that clear space. Now, a lot of people start with meditation. It's a beautiful way to get into this work because it brings in the silence and it kind of shuts down the external distractions. We don't need any external validation. We don't need any external source telling us what is right for us. It's about coming inside, clearing our field so we can hear that very quiet voice at the start that gets louder and louder as you practice, but coming inside and really feeling into who am I? what is right for me in this moment. Some people use kinesiology, some people use a pendulum, some people just get a sense of knowing within themselves. The amount of times that through my life I've known what is right for me and I've done the complete opposite just to fit in or, please somebody else or to be loved or whatever. It's all part of a beautiful journey. But I knew what was right for me. I just chose to go against it. And when we allow life to come more conscious, to come into that conscious space where I know I am choosing to do something, not to do something, to say something, not to say something, to accept something into my field that I do not resonate with, or to say, no, my boundaries are strong, it's not coming in. When we become conscious, that's when we start to really develop that relationship with our true self, with our multi-vibrational, multi-dimensional self that exists in this moment, in this now, in this physical form. And allowing all of those aspects that we are in this moment and recognizing that we are multi-dimensional beings and every different vibrational aspect of us has an opinion, and allowing yourself to be the observer of this conversation, this kind of global conversation going on within you, and recognizing what is your truth by, okay, what feels right for me in this moment. And sometimes it's going to be going with your ego, who wants to fit in and doesn't want to rock the boat, and right in this moment doesn't feel strong enough to deal with this wound, this pain, this hurt, to make this change. And that's okay. Because at some point, as long as you've done it consciously and you say, look, I'm hearing you right now and I'm going to go down this road with you. But at some point, I really want to listen to the higher vibrational aspect and try some of the things that they're suggesting. And one takeaway, and it's really simple, anybody can do it, and it's a great practice about being conscious. Go on a conscious walk. Leave your house, whether you have an animal or not, doesn't matter. Leave your house knowing that you're going on a conscious walk, and at every junction, drop into yourself. Even if you have to just close your eyes for a few seconds, drop in and feel which is the right direction for me to take. And take that direction. It's not about where you're going. This whole journey for us, it's not about the destination. It's about the process. It's about the journey. And because we're eternal beings, and because we've experienced so many different journeys in our, incarnational lifetimes, it's here now, what is right for me, this journey leading me to wherever, and it doesn't matter where that destination is, but knowing that each step I'm taking in alignment with my truth, in alignment with my purpose, I am assisting everybody else around me because my field vibrationally is raising to do the same, to open up to their truth. I don't have to do anything to make that happen. Just by concentrating on me, my path, my journey, what my heart is calling me to do, and my process of releasing, letting go of the wounds and unraveling the tangled mess that our past lives and our bloodlines have kind of brought forward into our field from the moment of our inception. As we're unraveling that, we're clearing our field, but we're also clearing our family's field, our ancestral field, the collective field, and making it far easier for other people to do this journey. I honor those who came before me, who stepped into this space. Honestly, it has been hard, and I will hold my hand up to that, but I have really felt a shift vibrationally over the past 10, 20 years, and we are in a completely different vibrational space. So if you allow yourself to be the clear and perfect channel that you are, and allow yourself to connect consciously with yourself and to hear the inner dialogue that is going on, and not to be afraid that I'm hearing voices if I'm listening to the multidimensional aspects of myself, it becomes fun. It becomes enjoyable. It becomes explorative. And whenever you come up against a challenge, A wonderful technique is to kind of go into that curious childlike state. Age is but a number. It really is irrelevant to our experience, for we are eternal beings. Time is linear, it's made up, it's literally man-made. And so it really doesn't mean that much. So it doesn't matter how old, how young, what age you are, stepping into that childlike wonder is the best way to overcome any challenge. Because when we face a challenge, saying, wow, that's really interesting, I was really triggered by that, you're stepping into that inquisitive space, and you're downplaying what the ego will blow up into this enormous, overwhelming thing. And you're going into that childlike, oh, I wonder what that was all about state, rather than, oh my God, that was, it's so overwhelming. So allowing yourself to become conscious, starting with conscious walks, allowing yourself to clear your field, allowing yourself to let go, but knowing where you are right now is perfect. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether your ego voice is really loud or whether your divine voice is really loud. You're in the perfect place. And at some point on your journey, you're going to start allowing yourself more and more, because if you're listening to this and if you're open to come into a space like this, you're already on the path. You've already started the work, and that's the beautiful thing. So, it may have taken some of you a lot to kind of come into this space and be ready to be in this space, but you're here and you're willing to listen and you're willing to be open to connecting in with yourself. And so big pat on the back, big thumbs up, because honestly, it took me such a long time to own who I was and to really allow myself to express that truth. But having gone through that journey, I couldn't think of being anything different. It is a refreshing change to allow yourself to honor your truth, to stand in your truth and to express it fully. And it's exciting. I never thought in a million years that I would be doing silversmithing and that I would be pouring so much love and healing into the work that I'm creating. And I'm really excited to share that on my website soon. But it's just another beautiful expression of my truth. And again, that's the beauty of the individual journey, because everybody will have their own heart's yearning. Everybody will have something, some way of creativity wanting to flow through you, and really honoring who you are and who you came here to be, with the skills and the gifts and the talents that are inherently, inertly within you, allowing them to fully be owned and expressed. That's the biggest gift. That is the biggest gift that we can give this world. That's the biggest gift that we can give the next generation, because that in itself will be the perfect role model for those coming behind us. So I've got 5 minutes. Oh, hey, Bridget. So if there is anybody that's creating a formal declaration of soul sovereignty, justice, and total restoration help, anything you do consciously, absolutely. Intention is the key. Intention is the key always and forever. It's what you intend. So quite often in a healing session, it may be that spirit says, people have to make this conscious choice. And spirit says, say something, make a declaration, anything. It doesn't matter if you write it down. It doesn't matter if you whisper it. It doesn't matter if you shout it off the hills. You are making that statement. You are claiming something. So yeah, making a formal declaration of soul sovereignty, but it doesn't have to be somebody else's words. And this is the other thing that I always say to people. And there's nothing wrong with this, because we have all collectively come on a journey, but a lot of traditions will have certain teachings, certain rules to be followed. We're stepping out of rules. We're stepping out of this means this. And my history has been with crystals as well, which is why the jewelry coming together is so beautiful for me. I trained as a crystal healer, and I was told, oh, this crystal is for that, that crystal is for this, from a healing perspective. And even at the time when I was doing that work, I was being drawn to place completely different colored crystals on the base chakra or the, throat chakra, but it felt right. And that is the biggest thing. Does it feel right for you? So a formal statement of sovereignty, absolutely, but it feels right for you. So when people read books or anything like that, you're guided to read it. You don't have to read the whole book. You read what you're guided to read, and then it's done. And the same with sovereignty statements. You say what feels right for you. You don't say the bits that don't feel right for you. So you may inherit something, but make it your own. Or, come up with something by yourself. Just again, dropping into that space, dropping into your heart, and allowing yourself to let the message flow through you. That is you being a clear and open channel. So we may be led to certain teachings, we may be led to certain traditions, but don't feel that you have to follow the rules, because the rules are a structure and we're stepping out of these old structures. And those structures were there for a reason. They were perfect for their time, but we're in this now, and every now is different. And so more and more we're being called to really kind of feel into what feels right. And again, it may be different. It may be different to what the rules, the traditions, the dogma, whatever is saying. But it's a beautiful process to even read a sovereignty statement and kind of go, I agree with that bit, but I would say that bit a bit differently. Great. Do that. Say that bit a bit differently. It doesn't have to be a massive kind of thing that you have to memorize. It's in the moment. Even just saying something like, I am all that I am, that's a sovereignty statement. One of the things that I do before every healing session, obviously I clear the space and I prepare the space and I prepare myself as a clear and open channel. And one of the things that I've always done as a small child, and again, this may not resonate with you, and that's absolutely fine. When I was a channel as a child, I wasn't interested in talking to dead people. I didn't want to see dead people. I wasn't interested in any of that. And I'm not judging people who do that. There's a space for mediums. They do a fantastic job, but it wasn't mine. So when I was a small child, about 4 or 5 years old, I was only interested in connecting with the highest vibrational beings of divine love and light. And that's what I would say. I'm only connecting in with the highest vibrational beings of divine love and light. All others must leave now. And that you're setting your boundaries. Boundaries is the biggest thing when you're on this journey. I think I've come to the end of my window.
Louise, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was so amazing to hear your work and what you do. I am so amazed. The alignment has so much to do. The past has so much to do. And I love how you distinguish between what you do, what others do. And this is just really your strength. The crazy part is that are we not all crazy, eh? It's just the interpretation. What is crazy?
Absolutely. I saw a lovely meme
So
once. It said, let your freak fly. I was like, yes.
yes, and this is why exit the cycle, right?